Thank you. Wear my ears. You guys, Disney's closed, so if I'm all about Disney, we're in trouble, right? They're closed. So good morning. It's so great to see you guys. What an amazing situation where it was hailing at my house like an hour ago, right? And then all of a sudden the clouds parted and the sun came out. So what a complete blessing. So thank you for being here and welcome to Navigating Motherhood's second semester. So it's 2021, right? And we have so much in store for you this semester. And for me, they gave me the kickoff of enjoying motherhood. So it's such a huge job right now, especially when we're just attempting to survive it, that how are we going to figure out how to enjoy it, right? So hopefully this morning I'll share some stories with you, basically from my family. People learn through stories and that can maybe help you on your journey as I've applied some basic concepts as we've kind of, lived through life here. So when I talk about enjoying motherhood in COVID and, this global pandemic, I know that a lot of you, again, have just really been having to up your game in so many different areas. So let me take a quick survey right now just to get a sense. How many of you were promoted to something you didn't apply for called homeschool mom? How many of you homeschool moms? Yes, congratulations, unbelievable. And how many of you are operating as IT specialists? IT help desk? Yes, okay, we have so many skills that we never had before. What about procurement and supplies manager? Got that one going on? Yes, and completely, I really feel like it's Costco right in my garage. I know exactly the roll of toilet paper and so forth that we have, there. And what about sanitation specialist? Right? Never before have I been so, completely aware of exactly what we needed to do. On top of that, many of you are balancing even working at home and, babies and so forth. So your job is more essential than ever and harder than ever. So congratulations on taking a moment out and being here. I really want to congratulate you on that, and hopefully you will be blessed this semester and this morning for that, for sure. So just to know, as far as my background and this picture, it seems very large behind me, so I'm not going to look at it, but that picture is full of joy, and it's not just that I have beautiful daughters and my husband is exceptionally attractive. John Tweed in this picture, and you can get excited about wedding pictures because you're like, wow, that picture really came out. That's amazing. But the joy filled in this picture for me is so much greater and so much broader because of all the pain behind it. Do you know what I mean by that? There's so much pain that got us on the road to a November 1st COVID wedding. It was really shocking because we had planned for over a year for my daughter, Charlotte's May 17th wedding. And she's a perfectionist and she's a planner, and she had every moment planned and all the vendors and so forth. And that was canceled like a lot of weddings. And that's really hard, really, from a depression standpoint. They'd been waiting for 3 years, and that was very, very difficult. But we got it rescheduled for November 1st. And just in maybe August, my stepmother, who I consider my mom of 45 years, she ended up coming down with ovarian cancer, and she was going to be the flower girl, one of the flower girls. Grandma flower girls in the weddings are the best, right? These grandmas just nailed it. So we got her through chemo, and it was shocking that she walked out, put a wig on, and walked down that aisle on this day. Such an incredible celebration. And having gone through all of that from August on, getting to November 1st, and just hoping that she could, use a walker and all and walk down was incredible. But just the week of the wedding, November 1st, now it's rescheduled. The Silverado fires broke out. Don't know if you guys remember. Well, the wedding was in Silverado Canyon. So up till the day before the venue was closed, the roads were closed, everything was evacuated, the air quality was bad, and there was no way to be able to have the wedding. And then on Saturday before the Sunday wedding, just like today in the hail, everything parted, the roads opened, and they said, okay, you can have the wedding. So when we showed up there, we thought it'd be covered in ash and so forth, but lo and behold, we didn't even see one piece of ash. It was unbelievable. So when we're sitting there in this picture, we are completely shocked and mesmerized that we are actually doing this on November 1st. So a lot of pain, but created so much blessing. And I think in our lives, that's very common that happens to us. So really, when we think about this, sometimes it's our expectations that get in our way of fully enjoying motherhood, right? I expected, when I was married to my husband about 7 years, I expected like, okay, we're going to have a boy and a girl now. It's time. We've got our careers and we're going to have a boy and a girl. And as you can see, that didn't happen. And as a result, instead, from 30 to 40, I was pregnant with a couple of losses, and I am blessed with my 4 daughters, but it was very different than the picture I had imagined. I also thought motherhood was going to fulfill the deepest part of me, that the love and the laughter every day that we would experience would just be amazing. And was it? Yes, motherhood has been filled with a lot of love and laughter, but this was my complete vision, like the running through wildflowers every day. You guys with me? Like just the wind blowing in our hair and everything just being so simple, as opposed to the difficult circumstances and, decisions that we have to make. And really, from my experience, those expectations of love and laughter ended up turning into more of tears and tantrums and a deep loneliness like within me. My Instagram picture in terms of my reality, it was more like this, right? And I was just thinking, oh my goodness, what happened? What is going on here? And that loneliness I'm talking about was very odd to me because of course, my family was bigger. But there was a certain loneliness that I felt as I was raising my children and my husband with his career. So in terms of this reality, it was really a struggle for me to let go of my expectations. In addition to these expectations and these Instagram dreams, I also had with my first daughter what I would call the perfection infection. Does anyone know what I mean by perfection infection? Diana, I just wanted to do everything right. Her food was going to be perfect. That child did not have a gram of sugar touch her lips. You should see my 4th, it was over. Anyway, but it was from food to classes to even, I got mailed to me, and you guys, some of you remember this, the developmental toy of the week for the exact age and stage, whether it was black and white or whatever it was for them. And I had that done. I also, embarrassingly enough, had baby Einstein videos. I'd sit her in a little bouncer in front of the TV and to try to make sure that she'd go to Harvard someday. And it was so much pressure on me, so much pressure on her, that the enjoyment, the joy really went out of it completely. And so it wasn't till later and completely having all types of experiences and circumstances we had that were very painful, from sleep apnea to kidney disease to speech and language disorders to terminal illnesses of parents and losses, so many different situations that I realized, you know what? I need to just enjoy each day. Each day is a gift. I need to enjoy each day as it is, take away the expectations, and just know that whether it's COVID or not, even in this situation, we can enjoy the gifts that we've been given on, again, a daily basis. So that's really where my mind went to. And I'd like to share just some basic concepts that are very basic with you today. Perhaps it can refresh us. It's 2021. I know we had a lot of expectations about 2021 being different. We have just a few days to still say it's the new year, right? So let's just look at a couple of concepts that could refresh us and really give just a little shift in our perspective to help us enjoy what we have just a little bit more this morning. So there's a handout in front of you, and it says there's 4 L's there. So we're going to go through those 4 L's together. and just experienced that this morning. Your first L, if you could fill in the blank, is learn. The word learn. And this quote I love under this slide by John Wooden, one of the greatest coaches of all time. It's what you learn after you know it all that counts. After you know it all, right? And some of our kids, we need to read this quote. But so, from that standpoint, in training leaders, there's a sense of teachability, that it's critical to be open, to be curious, to be a lifelong learner. And I would suggest as a mom, it's even more critical to be a lifelong learner. Every age, every stage is completely different. It's like it's all new completely. So from that standpoint, learning is important. To have a growth mindset, a flexible mindset, as opposed to a fixed, stubborn mindset, especially in COVID, is really, really important. Looking at things just a little bit differently. So I would want to share with you one idea under learn. And how I've learned is I've learned how to find wise mentors. Find wise mentors. It's really made a drastic change in my life to find wise mentors, because I, in business, suggest a book called Never Eat Alone and Never Eat Lunch Alone. And right now, I think everyone's having lunch alone, but it's a good book. Really letting you know that as a leader, and you are a leader of your home under your husband, as a leader of your home, you need to get wisdom. And it's so much easier to find a mentor and to just have an hour with them and learn 10 years of mistakes and of successes to be able to help your journey. So I just want to let you know that it's exciting because you actually get to check this idea off, because here in NAVMO, you've got moms and leaders built in as these wise mentors. In fact, some of the best moms I know are in this room, and several of my own personal mentors. So I won't specifically mention a one in a hat that she's hiding. Anyway, so mentors to me that are ahead of me in ages and stages, and that really is such a blessing to seek their wisdom and to get a sense of what they know before it comes my way. So that's just one area of learning. The other thing I would learn to do is how to really transform your thoughts. Does anyone know what I mean about, we've got all of these thoughts, especially during COVID. There's a lot of depression out there, and there's a lot of isolation. And as a result, in a sense, I found myself whining, right? So I don't know if anyone else is on the whining train, but definitely I could whine about a lot of different things. And as a result, I really have had to train my mind, holding those thoughts captive, and learn how to change my thoughts from complaints to blessings. Really, how to learn how to have an attitude of gratitude, literally. And I know this is really, really difficult right now to find, the blessings and the gratitude in times like this. But there really are those. So there is a book in the bookstore that I love called Choosing Gratitude, and it's got daily devotions for gratitude. I've learned to keep a gratitude journal. So in our Compass bookstore too, they have blank journals. And then each morning, starting my day, and making sure to list 5 blessings and things that I'm grateful for, both in the morning and at night. But one of the things that occurred to me that it's kind of odd to be grateful for is this. How many of you had grandparents that told you all about the Depression and all about walking through snow, right? All of those things. It's like, that's a good story, Grandma. And I was thinking the other day, what stories do I have to tell my kids? Like, first world problems. The line at Starbucks drive-through was so long during COVID, I can't even tell you. Or the 4G network was so slow back in our day, right? So in terms of those first world problems, we really didn't have any, but COVID has given us a story, you guys. We have a great story. So really, my grandparents' depression stories are probably comparable to our stories. I'm thinking my toilet paper stories, you cannot use any more than 4 squares. And I'm telling you, we are cutting every disinfectant wipe in half. And the paper towels I'm hiding, okay? You need to request a paper towel at this point. I remember my daughter in early COVID trying to go get us eggs because they wouldn't let my husband and I go to the store. So my daughter Sarah went to the store to get eggs, and we usually get like 24, like for a family of 6. And she was wrestling with the man about the eggs because he would only let her have 12, and there was security around the eggs. And she came home, I never want to get eggs again, Mommy. They'd only give me 12. I told them we have 6 people. That's just a day. So it's really given us resilience. I think it's also given us gratitude for sure, some flexibility that COVID's given us. And so really look for those things to be grateful for. So that second idea is really to have an attitude of gratitude. Another thought here that couples with the journaling is to take time for yourself. You have to learn how to take time for yourself. What I mean by that, I'm not like me time, go for the massage, though, certainly that's a good thing. Quiet time each morning. I've learned that if I have that time segmented for me, that me time before the kids get up, and it's hard over time. Initially, it was 15 minutes, but now I have an hour protected before the kids get up. You have even a few more with teenagers. But from that standpoint, to just have quiet time. And in that quiet time, you can journal, you can do your to-do list, you can use that time for reading, and just getting your thoughts organized. For me, I use my quiet time to do our daily Bible reading and to pray and to go through a devotion, maybe send a couple encouraging texts, but I protect that time because then when the chaos hits, I don't feel so, I hate to use this word, robbed. I don't feel so put upon because I had a little bit of time that I had protected in a bubble for me. So please learn how to do that as well. The other learn is something I have a slide for here that I'll show you. And this is learn to be a student of your child. So in this slide, on the left and right, as a case study, are my 2 daughters, Shannon and Charlotte. They're my 2 oldest. Charlotte, again, is the second. She's the one that got married. But you'll see on your left is I was pregnant with my 3rd there, so therefore the cheekies there. But so we've got those 2, and when I had my 2nd daughter, I thought, I've got this wired. I'm over the perfectionist thing. If the binky drops, I'm rinsing it only. I'm not boiling, right? I had things down. And I just thought, oh, we've got this. I've got the clothes. I'm good on the 2nd daughter. So the only thing that looked different was one had straight hair and one had curly hair. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm golden. And really what I realized very, very quickly was that I had to learn how to be a student of my child. Does that make sense? Be a student of my child. Each and every child is completely different. So though we love them unconditionally and we have that overriding love for them, we really need to train them up differently. Again, as a comparison with Shannon, she just came out of the womb talking. I mean, literally hard to get a microphone out of her hand. I don't know where she gets that. It's such a strange thing. But with her, she is fully energetic, and she's a driver and creative, and she kind of leaves a trail behind her that you just kind of have to clean up. But, there's definitely things to train her on in terms of steadfastness and listening more than talking. And so I trained her up into the woman that she's, become today. It's really exciting to see the traits that she's embodied, just taking on meekness, power under control, still being a driver, but that power under control. Had to mother her very differently than Charlotte. And in learning that, Charlotte never said a word. In fact, Charlotte right now blames her career as a speech and language specialist on Shannon because Shannon talked for her all those years and she had to learn how to speak. And so as a result, for Charlotte, it was more about courage. Really going up to the in and out counter was a stretch to ask for ketchup, please, because she was mortified to speak to people. So the courage and for her to be more extroverted and to be more relational, she had the analytical, orderly. There was no trail running after Charlotte. It was neat as a pin and everything was all tied up, color-coded closet. But I really had to learn how to mother them differently. So that idea is be a student of your child and really learn what it is that each one that really motivates them and how they were stitched together, because it's very, very different. All four of mine are completely different. It's still shocking to me today, for sure. So there's a question, and during our time together, I will ask your table groups questions. This is your warm-up where you're off the hook. You're not going to need to answer this one right now, but I did ask this to a advisory board of some great moms that are in this room that I know and love, who are incredible at what they do. What is the biggest lesson you've learned so far? And I did during COVID. So wanted to read you a couple of the responses that I have from these outstanding moms, again, to add to your idea list. And the next time you see this your turn up there, it's actually your turn. So I will pass it to you, and we'll take that time for a moment. So let me read to you a couple of things. The moms that I surveyed, when I said, what are the top 3 things you've learned during COVID as traits? The first one was patience. How about you guys? Patience. Really learning how to have that long fuse, right? As opposed to the short fuse, a long fuse. The other thing was that they learned most was keeping a schedule. So really making sure, even though you're home, that you have rails and that you keep a schedule and getting great at that. The third trait is really interesting because it's completely anti-schedule, which is a little bit like the world right now, which is flexibility. So you're like, okay, what am I, scheduled or flexible? You're like, both is what you are right now. So those 3 traits are what these moms said that they learned most. They also learned how to be present and be available while at home to meet their child's emotional, social, and academic needs, all 3, which is very difficult. They learned how to Zoom, right? We talked about that. They learned how to let go of the mess. So that's a great one. And to try something brand new and include your kids on the journey, even if you fail at it. So even if it's that, nailed it baking on Pinterest, where you bake something you never have together. They also started sewing, planting gardens. One even mentioned woodworking, just learning new skills together. And just don't give in, one mom said, to what's easy and turn on the TV or hand the child the iPad as their new mommy, right? Just to make sure that you don't take the easy way out, but that you are looking at this time to get on the floor eye to eye with them and just make sure that you have meaningful time. One mom mentioned exercise videos. Are any of you doing exercise videos with your kids? That's fantastic. There's that dance guy that my daughters do. Yeah, it is. So that's so funny. So exercise videos together. And then discover the outdoors, like camping. Gee, no. Hiking. Exploring beaches and bike riding as a family. I can do the bike riding, but getting out. Let's get outdoors as a family. So those are just some of the things that were learned during this time. And I think one thing we've learned is how to talk around the table, right? To actually have family dinners again. We could be grateful for that, to actually be talking. Use that time wisely, guys. So that's your first L. And I learned a lot through my second L. The second L is to listen, to simply listen. The quote here says, to connect with their hearts, use your ears. And ladies, I would just say this to you, put down your phones. Right? Be present and put down your phones. I find that I can easily get tied to that phone, very easily and not be present. But we really, I would really suggest that you listen your children. As a society, we have lost our listening. Have you guys noticed that? We've lost our listening. There's such a cacophony of noise everywhere and people just having AirPods in and not listening. And it's very rare that you find somebody who is a good listener. It's literally a jewel. And the best thing you can do for your child is to make sure that you train and raise them up and mentor to them what it looks like to be a good listener for their future relationships, for their future jobs. It's amazing for them to be a great listener. So I have a challenge right now where I'm passing it to you at your tables. I get a little amen from that little precious baby. Do you hear that? Yeah, listen to me, Mommy. Okay, so this is one that's a your turn right now. And so to get a baseline, because we're going to work on this skill today, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 of how good of a listener, not that you are, how good of a listener, what does it say here, ladies, that your family would say you are? What would your husband and your children say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being best? How good of a listener are you? So we'll see right now. You've got 60 seconds at your table. Turn toward each other, and I will time you. And then really quickly, even holding up your fingers, scale of 1 to 10, what you think your family would say. Okay? Ready? Go. Hold up some fingers as we're hold up your fingers going. Good job. This table held up fingers. Anyone else got your fingers held up so I'll know? I see some 3s. I see some 5s. Good job. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your confession. This is good for the soul. This is a little bit of humility. Did our back table, did you guys put your fingers up for me? How many fingers? You got it? Okay. Let's come back together. And good job, you guys. So that's your baseline. You know what I mean by a baseline? This is where you're going to start. And we can build on that point, from a baseline. So in business and home both, most of the communication problems and challenges are from the lack of listening. It's completely what it is. So if we practice powerful listening, we can really rid ourselves of those mistakes and really have more time to enjoy, actually. So when you look at this active listening model, I'm going to give you a model, and I think you've got the letters on there. It spells ASK, A-S-K. So in order to get our child pulling information, we typically need to ask questions. I've heard it's harder to get information out of boys. Is that true? You need to pull information and ask them in that sense. As moms, I think we're really wired to push information. Do you know what I mean by push information? We just push. They need to do this and this and this and this and this, and it's so much easier than asking, right? But what we do ask is if they understand. So in this particular case, I'm going to ask you to have a mentality more of pulling than pushing. So listening is a portal to your understanding. It's really the answers that you need right there in front of you as a result of being able to ask. So here is our ask model. The first A is be attentive to your child. Attentive to your child. When I said put your phones down, please be attentive to your child. Do you guys remember? I just remember this so vividly, holding my little girls, my little babies in my arms and memorizing all their little characteristics and their face and their little hannies and exactly what they look like. I could stare at them for hours. And then they start talking, right? And we're like, okay, I'm busy. So I really want you to marvel at them again. Be attentive again. Being attentive to your child really means to stop. Now, it doesn't have to be exactly at the second that they ask. It could be, sweet, let mommy wrap this up for 3 minutes. I'll meet you on the couch because I know what you are going to say is very important and I want to hear you, right? But just being attentive, being present with your child. The words don't matter. The attentiveness of your body and your nonverbal speaks over 90%. It's not just like, yeah, got it, that kind of thing at all. It's really your body has to be attentive to your child. The S in this model is seek to understand. And I want you to write next to seek to understand, stay open, and put this for me, don't respond. I know that's so hard for us. We're so wired to fix it, to, go ahead and respond and react and so forth, but I want you to stay open because it really will save you a lot of time. So seek to understand before you are understood. Will you be understood? Yes, mommy, you'll be understood. But first, understand where they're coming from. That way their little wheels aren't turning in their brain and they're not listening to you because there's so much that they want to tell you. And then their but comes after what you've said. So let's turn that around a little bit, okay? Seek to understand. The K is for keep encouraging. Keep encouraging. I can encourage, again, with nonverbal. I can nod my head. I can smile. My facial features are going to be part of it. I can also make sure and say something like, oh, really? Okay, great. Those kind of things are listening prompts. The other part to hear is reflecting. Reflecting is using words they've used back to them, their exact words. Mommy, I'm just so stressed out. Oh, honey, stressed out? Now, I get stressed out. I understand stressed out, right? We all do. But the point is, what does that mean to them? What does stressed out mean to them? And then they get to tell you. So reflect back a key word, remember that, and reflect that back. This powerful listening model should really help you, and I will say, please use it with your husbands too, even more so, the powerful listening. In fact, your homework assignment, since you're taking notes, is to ask your husband and children what they would rate you in lifetime. How many is willing to take on that challenge after this? Okay, yes. My friend in the back did it yesterday. I was so proud of her, just right away without even being told, and went and asked her child and her husband what they would rate. But it's important that then you can do that weekly as you get better. And the self-awareness is critical. As a coach, when I assess business leaders, I'll ask their supervisors how they listen, and then I'll ask them how they perceive themselves. The person is like, the employee is like, oh, I'm a 10, full 10. What do you think the supervisor says? 2, yes, like a 2. So the self-awareness is critical. So you may get a rating that's lower than you thought, and you may get one that's higher. Number 1, don't get cocky, right? Number 2, so stay humble, but stay open, because it's okay to get better, and it is something you want to get better at. It's also showing your children the same thing. So I love that. All right, so we ready for the third L? And the third L, one of my favorite, is to laugh. Laugh. And laughter unites your family. Laughter will create joy in your home. And laughter does create lasting memories. So really, it's critical that you learn to laugh. And there's a lot of things we can cry about, and there's a lot of things that we can laugh about that just end up getting, silly from that standpoint. But really, in this particular case, I think I learned from my mom and my grandma. They were so silly. I look back on it, and they were the silliest, funnest people. I can't even believe it. My grandma, I think, invented Crazy Hair Day because she would say to me, okay, Susie, and she'd come out with a box of like rubber bands and clips and bobby pins, and she'd say, it's time for beauty shop. And I thought, oh, good. I'd sit myself on the couch ready for grandma to do my hair. No. You're doing my hair. Oh, okay, Grandma. So I'd sit up on the back of the couch, and she'd sit there, and I would do that for hours. And she'd be like, take a picture. Oh, do it again. Like, it was just so fun. And she just loved to have laughter and be silly. My mom, too. My girls wanted to go to her house because they would do things together, whether it was horseback riding or watch Cupcake Wars and then do Cupcake Wars themselves, right? So any of those silly things, funny shows, silly books, those kind of things are really critical to inject the humor into your home. If you don't think you're funny, someone in your family will be funny because that's just how it is. So make them in charge of that. I find that my go-to is the dollar store. I am a dollar store nut. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I go, they have silly string and, Nerf things. So you are the thermostat in your home. Now, I didn't say thermometer. want you to think about the difference between a thermometer and a thermostat. A thermometer tells how hot it is, and it's been hot, right? The stress is high often in our homes right now. But the thermometer doesn't help cool it off. As a thermostat, as the mom, you're able to lower the temperature a bit. When the stress gets high, okay, spontaneous dance party. Let's just make it happen. It's important to do. Whatever it is, putting music on, whatever you can do to infuse laughter into your home. So I have a few ideas for you, but I really want you guys to talk about those and share those at your table. This is, oh gosh, I forgot about this. Speaking of dollar stores, they have stick-on mustaches. And my new son-in-law, Logan, is wanting to be a firefighter, so he grew the required mustache. And so my youngest went to the dollar store for Christmas and got him a pack of stick-on mustaches, and we surprised him at Christmas. We all had mustaches on when he walked in. So this is just a picture of that. So spontaneous fun is what we're looking for. So this is your turn. What does your family do to laugh and have fun? So in your tables, again, I'll ask you to face your chairs to each other, just very quickly, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Share an idea or two. Try to get something down on your paper of an idea that your families laugh and have fun. You ready? Okay, go. Okay, you guys, we're going to wrap it up. I love to see the smiles on your face. You will continue in group discussion time. I love to see, did you feel how the room kind of shifted and people were more relaxed and so forth? There's studies that show that laughter helps to decrease stress by 23%, and it lowers the anxiety in your kids, both gratitude and laughter. So you really want to use that as a relief valve and a tool to help you enjoy motherhood. I heard some things. I heard a little line dancing, so teaching your kids line dance. For me, I'm a professional at the electric slide. I don't know if any of you know the electric slide, but I get at a wedding, I am on it for the electric slide. And I embarrassed my daughters so much for so long, to the point that one of them just recently tried to pull me on the dance floor, telling me it was my time to do the electric slide. I'm like, yes, I am on it. So really, some of those ideas, I mean, like even the dress-up days at school that are spirit days, you can do in your home. Now, I know every day is PJ day right now, so don't do PJ day, okay? But you can do backwards day. You can do mismatch day. Anything where it's, dressing up like we're going to watch a certain movie tonight, and, everyone dress out as a character from it that's in your closets and, coming on down. It's just so fun to infuse those kind of moments together. I'm sure you got a lot of other ideas, and you'll have group discussion time to get even more as well. Want to make sure if I had any other ones on here that that the survey showed. That was game nights, of course. We've got game nights, and bath time fun, singing silly songs in that way. And we used to spell the letters of their name in lotion on their back or spell words, really making bath time a big deal, having fun in that sense. Music when you're cooking, little Earth, Wind, and Fire. Let's do that, ladies, when you're cooking. How can we not just get moving with that? It just doesn't seem like a chore when we're, or RESPECT, right? Let's do that, little Aretha. Okay, so our fourth L, we're there already, fantastic, is the most important of all, which is love. So there's a verse in the Bible, Corinthians 13, which really says that, and now these three remain, faith, hope, and love, and the greatest of these is love. And it truly is. The quote I have on here is, having a child is to forever have your heart go walking around outside your body. Even with adult children, any and everything that goes on, it's like, oh, my heart's out there outside my body. But what happens is sometimes our love turns into, it's so intense on our kids that it ends up making them feel judged or criticized or pushed upon. And there's this sense that then they end up feeling unloved when we really want the best for them. Does anyone relate to what I mean by that? So really, because we've nagged and we want them to do well in school because we know the road ahead, that doesn't translate to love, though we mean to be loving. So we really want to be careful to be able to show our love the way that our children, the way that each child needs their love. So in this particular case and idea, I'm going to share with you that I'd like you to love each child differently as well. We talked about training them differently, but they also need to be loved differently, which is, I know, is an odd thing. There's a book I read early on. See, now that little puddin' needs love, and what she needs is what we're calling physical touch. That's one of the 5 love language, physical touch. So there was a book I read early on by Gary Chapman, it's 5 love languages. I felt like some of that really helped me to identify the love language of my husband and my children. So physical touch, I mentioned, is one. There's encouraging words, there's gifts, which we all like, there's quality time, and there's acts of service. And as mothers, we tend to have our default loving everyone with acts of service, doing things for them, acts of service. But that's not necessarily how they need to be loved. So our love language is how we like to be loved. So literally, unload the dishwasher, I'm yours. I'm like, thank you. Thank you for that. So again, that's acts of service. But I noticed that with my 2 C's, my Charlotte and my Candace, it's physical touch. They need to be spooned and hugged and have their little, feet massaged as they got older, as migraines came on, massaging their feet, rubbing their back, and just being close and cuddled. That really filled their love tank, if you will. For Shannon and Sarah, it's very different. It's encouraging words. And it's really came true to me when I thought back, my grandpa called me his sunshine. And there was a sense of me always thinking through my parents' divorces and everything when I felt so lonely, oh, but I'm grandpa's sunshine, that I was meant to spread like love and light, to people in that way. And so that I really embodied that. To my daughter, Shannon, at one time in her past, I said something to her about that she was a difference maker. And she kept repeating, do you really think, Mommy, I'm a difference maker? And I'm like, yeah, honey, you're a difference maker. And still today, every day, she's making a difference in people's life in a nonprofit. But there's just this sense that those 2 words really drove her. Your husband's love language, most likely, are those 2. Encouraging words, I guarantee you, and I guarantee you physical touch. So acts of service, ladies, that's what you work on, okay? So there are just different ways to love each child. So learn how to love them differently is one aspect of this. The other aspect or idea I want you to write down in this is to just remember that time flies. Remember that they grow up so fast. It was so clear to me when it seems like yesterday I was dressing Charlotte in her little pink princess outfit at 3 years old and getting her all dressed for it. And then a blink of an eye, I'm zipping up her wedding dress, ladies. I mean, it was poignant for me. Like, where did the time go? So please don't think right now that you're just trying to get through this time. Really enjoy each day. Each day is a gift, and enjoy each day and cherish each moment. Really love in that way. The last aspect of an idea for love as we close is that I really needed to teach my kids how to love others. I needed to show them by what I did how to love others so that they could love others well and not grow up as selfish kids. So to love others and write notes to their grandparents, right? And to, color things and send them in the mail, or to sick friends that are going through things. Get in the car and do some porch drops that are exciting. Do a project for someone. Participate in that can drive or the shoe drive or whatever. For me and my family, this place at Compass Bible Church has been where I get to be involved in others' lives, whether it's weekly services or the Awana program. For you being here, you learn about other people's needs, and then you get to really reach out and meet those needs. And it's really cool to have your children be others based. That would be a gift to your kids. Have them love others. So those are the ideas and tips. I know you guys in your groups are going to have all kinds of ideas and tips on how you show love to your children. And you're going to get to do that in just a moment as I release you to group time. Your leaders have other questions. And even if you want to hop back to fun because you guys were just having a blast, and if I cut you off, then feel free to do that. But how do you show your children you love them will be one area to get ideas to take away. So it's been a joy to be with you this morning. I hope that those basic concepts that I've learned through my circumstances in my life can help you enjoy motherhood and not just survive it, but literally thrive in it. And really, if you can go out of this place just to take those principles and just to focus on learning and focus on listening, focus on laughing, and focus on loving just a little bit more, I think that this will be an incredible year and beyond. So thank you so much for your time and attention, and enjoy your group and enjoy your semester.